photo of one either.
We normally have one. Hold
Well,
on.
we could just pass for tonight, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, short notice.
Sorry about that. We will catch that up next time. The first item of business for us are opening announcements, and I'll let Denise go ahead and do those for tonight.
Sure. Just so everybody's aware, besides this Zoom call, this is also live on CNET's YouTube channel, and there is a link there that you can go to. We also are looking for township residents to re-sign up for email notifications. We had a bit of an issue when we switched to a different email provider, and we lost our mailing list. So if you go to our main page and click the Contact Us button, we'll be able to start sending out new email updates. We're also looking for residents to volunteer on different committees and boards. There are a bunch of vacancies, and if you're interested in serving your community, you can contact us or look on the website for more information. And then lastly, an executive session was held at our last meeting on November 12th from 8:38 p.m. until 8:48 p.m. to discuss a personnel matter.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll open up to citizen comments for any items that are not already on the agenda. So does anyone have any comments? Please make yourself known. If not, I'm assuming that everybody else is here for items that are on the agenda, so we will get to it. First up is the approval of our agenda for this evening. So if for those of you who have the agenda, if you have any additions, corrections, moving items up or down through the agenda, say so now, or if not, from either Bob or Dave, approval of the agenda for tonight, please. A motion, rather.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Thank you,
I second
Dave.
that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we're going to move along. There is a subdivision development plan. It's still tabled, correct? No movement on that, Denise?
That's correct. It's actually going to be coming back in our January meeting.
Perfect. Then we have our approval of the minutes from the November 12th Board of Supervisor meeting. So if I could have a motion for that.
I move that we approve the
approve the
minutes from November 12th.
That was almost synchronous. I'm going to give that to Dave to make the motion. Bob, second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. And next up then we have our consent agenda, which lists the payment of bills from November 7th to the 20th. General fund is 23,000 and change, lots of change. Municipal building fund, 3,000 and change. And then also the bills list for November 21st through December 4th from the general fund, open space, parks and rec. If there are any particular items that we need to pull out to speak about separately, speak now. If not, I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Go ahead, Bob.
I move that we approve the consent agenda for the period
I'll second
of 11/7/20 to 11/20/20.
I'll second it.
And the second one too, Bob.
Oh, I'm sorry. And I, for the bills list from the period of 11/21/20 to 12/4/20. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And Dave, I heard a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, consent agenda is done. Old business, we have two items listed here. One is a property maintenance code update. I will let Denise talk about that.
Yep, Bob, Walt, and I all met together to review Chapter 3 of the Property Maintenance Code. We had a couple of good discussions on that, and we'll be meeting the next couple of weeks every Friday to start going over chapters one at a time and then be able to come to the board and present something. We actually are going over Chapter 4 this coming Friday.
Were we not going to go back and finish Chapter 3 or?
Oh, yes, the last little bits that we had.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure to clarify that we were doing that. That's all.
And then just so everyone here that's listening, you folks are doing that and then going to bring suggestions to a future
Yeah.
Board of Supervisor meeting, right? Good.
Yeah.
Right. And there are some items that we're making recommendations, but there are some that we need more input from the board before we can even make a recommendation, because we all have different feelings on it, where a lot of them we're pretty good with just the generalizations that are being made.
Yeah, that was even part of the discussion at the our meeting on Friday, was about the procedure going forward and
Mhm.
how we get other supervisors to be involved in the process without ending up having a quorum, you know, inadvertently and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, right now we're kind of in the baby steps. So.
Okay. And if we needed, I mean, if we needed to do that, we could always schedule a work session, right?
Yeah.
That could
Yeah.
be a meeting.
But I don't think we're at that stage yet.
That's fine. Okay, great. And then the next item under old business is the Comcast 3-year service agreement for phone and internet update.
Yes, that was actually signed, updated, signed today. We've been working with Comcast, and very shortly we will have virtual attendance and the ability to leave voicemail messages for anybody. So that's great. Comcast has been great. So those two old business items, that's about it for the updates on those.
Great.
That is good. And I just wanted to highlight also that also just gives a little bit more opportunity for people to communicate with the office in a more efficient manner.
Yes.
Great. All right, so on to the new business now. We have our public hearing on our 2021 fiscal budget. So if I had my gavel here with me, I'd like to open this public meeting, and it is 7:12. So I don't know what other discussion we have. Oh, let me open by saying this, public comments. So we did receive some public comments. They will be included for record. Of course, the biggest item of news is a letter that we put out to the residents about increasing the tax to have a balanced budget for this year. So the couple of the comments that we received back, of course, is that it is never a good time to raise taxes and a terrible time to raise taxes during a COVID pandemic. We totally understand that. And that's basically the comments that we got across the board, is that it is a tough time. So again, those specific comments will be presented with the minutes for public record, so you can read those. And there were also a couple other comments about the cost of the library. So that's how I'll start anyway. And Denise, I'll let you, if you have any other comments to provide to get us started.
No, just for the record, the hearing was properly advertised and the budget was on display for at least 20 days in the township office. It was also placed on the website as well for review.
Okay.
I think we should add that our budgeting sessions are also open to the public, so, and advertised in advance.
Yes. And since we did have a few comments about the cost of our contribution to the library, the School Library, Kathy Alloway is here also, to the executive director, to answer any kind of questions that we may have. If anyone who is listening or here to add comment about this, though, we are committed for 2021 for that cost. Our focus, because there is some concern about the cost of the library, is to focus some discussion on that for 2021, because we have to make a decision whether we participate in that library contribution or not, and we have to make that decision by December 31st. So it is already decided for this year, and we don't. We want to use next year to get further public input and supervisor input as to what kind of direction that Halfmoon Township wants to go with supporting our local libraries. So is there I guess what I'll do now is, we don't really have anything to present, right? Because the budget has already been presented. So if anyone that is in attendance has any questions, now is the time to speak. We will call on folks, and typically what we do is we have, depending on how many comments there are, if we need to, we impose a 5-minute limit per comment. So I will open that up now to anyone that has any public comment about the budget.
Reed Moyer raised his hand first.
Hi, Reed Moyer,
Hi,
50
Reed.
Lynn Circle. Just wanted, if I could, I'm not really up to speed here, but maybe somebody could give me a 1-minute view of what the tax increase involved. Is that possible?
Yes. Do you want to do it, Denise? Do you want me to
Sure,
start?
I'd be more than happy to.
Great.
So Reed, for the general fund, we are proposing a 1.67 mil increase. And that will help cover the cost of some payments that we have coming up for the municipal park and for a truck and a tractor that the Public Works Department received.
Okay.
Then there'll be, the idea is to implement a 1.7 fire protection tax, and that any funds received from that go directly into a special account that can only be used for fire protection services. And that would include any of the equipment that the personnel needs. We are on a volunteer fire company basis right now, but the trend that's happening right now in the state and basically everywhere is that the volunteers are dropping out, and a lot of the departments are becoming, there's a requirement that they become paid. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the state has required firefighters to take different certifications and trainings, and that becomes expensive, and it's also time consuming, and a lot of the volunteers are working other jobs. So this is a way to ensure that if we have a need for, for example, a tanker truck, or if we need to replace equipment, we have those funds available specifically to the fire company. And if they need to go to a paid personnel, maybe we have to start out with a paid part-time driver, that we have funds available to do that, to support our local fire companies and ensure fire protection services.
Okay, thank you. And just one further comment is that as far as the library, I just wanted to make a comment that I'm fully supportive of funds going to the library. I know it's not a comment period on that, but there is nothing more
totally
important in this world than libraries. So,
Thank you.
Thank
It
you.
is sort of it is included in the budget discussion, so it is part of the public comment. So it's fine to make that. Thank you. Denise, can you do me a favor? And I hope I'm not putting you on. I see you, Virginia. You're next. Real quick. So for the general citizens who don't know what 1.7 mil or 1.67 mils equals, do you have the total dollar amount that brings in for us?
So with a 1 mil tax increase in Halfmoon Township, assuming, let's say, most people pay in discount. So if we get everybody to have a 1 mil increase, that only brings in about $77,000. So it's completely different, and it's based off of the assessed real estate value. So I was having a discussion with one of the other township managers, and their 1 mil increase will bring in $460,000. So a 1 mil increase for one township is very different than a 1 mil increase for another township.
Gotcha. Thank you. I just wanted to put dollars kind of associated with it because it's hard for most people to understand what a mil means. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I think actually one of the things that needs to be clarified is 1 mil does not mean 1 million.
Right.
You know, that was my mistake for the first couple of times I was in that conversation. 1 mil is like 1 mil, as in something's been milled. So.
Okay, thank you. Virginia, you're next.
So my question is, Denise, hi, can you explain what the percentage is out of the total budget that goes to SCLO Library? I mean, can you break down Halfmoon Township's portion of the library, or what we pay per household?
Somebody did a really good math calculation somewhere. I think
it was $20 a person.
It's about, yeah. So somebody basically, we pay about 58,000. I'm going to use a little calculator on my phone here. We pay about 58,000 to the library, to SCLO. And if you divide that number by the number of residents in the 2010 census, which was 2,667, It's $21.74 per resident.
per year.
Yes.
Yes.
But that's not how
Now
it's
multiply that by 3.5 people per household.
No, I think that was the population already. I think the
That's
2000,
population.
I think that was population. I'm
Right.
pretty sure.
Mhm.
Yes. There's another way to do
It
it.
is, but
We have, I believe it's 918 households, which is $63.18 a household.
Per year.
per
Yes.
year.
Thank you.
You're
And you
welcome.
asked about the percentage of the budget. I did some rough, I'm looking at my papers over here. Hold on one second. Because I thought I did a very rough, but I can't remember. So let me just see if I did it real quick. Nope, sorry. I don't want to waste time. I thought I had that for you. It's a small percentage. Any other comments, questions about the budget?
David Crow has raised his hand.
Oh, David, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Dave Crow. I'm 230 Chenelly Drive. I'm also a volunteer at the Port Matilda Fire Company.
Thank you.
secretary there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So one of my concerns, and it probably may come to as a surprise, but increasing the funding, increasing taxes to support the fire company could come off as a negative, in that the fire company is supported largely by donations.
Mhm.
And if the perception is increased taxes are going towards the fire company, then people potentially may reduce their contributions, is my comment. The other issue that concerns me is that Halfmoon is a contributor through the COG, through a consortium of the townships that contribute to the fire company funding. They contribute to Halfmoon, they contribute to Warriors Mark as well. And while Halfmoon is a major contributor to that, and that's much appreciated, it's not unilaterally increasing. So the other townships aren't necessarily increasing their contribution in kind. So my concern is if Halfmoon is raising their taxes, raising the bar and contributing to the fire company, the expectation would be that the other entities, Port Matilda Borough and the other townships would also raise their contributions. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Danelle, if I may,
Yes.
I'd like to just respond to that so that it makes it a little bit clearer. So the portion of what we're doing, we have an obligation and contracts for fire protection services through Warriors Mark Franklin Fire Company and through Port Matilda Fire Company. And of that, we're taking a certain millage of real estate taxes, and that is what we're giving for fire protection services through those contracts. So when we're taking it out of the general fund and making it its own special fund so that we're ensuring that those funds are available and that we're able to even give more for the fact that there are these pieces of equipment and respirators and masks and hoses and different things that have to be replaced. So no, it's actually freeing up money within the general fund and moving it so that we balance our budget in the general fund, but we're also taking that money out and making sure it's in a separate fund to provide fire protection services. We only contribute 34% of Port Matilda's amount that for fire protection services. The other townships are responsible for their contracts, whatever their millage rate on that might be. And David, I understand why you think there would be that perception of it, but there's definitely more of, this is more of an assurance almost. I almost want to call it an insurance policy to make sure that somebody is there to respond to a fire, because we are very low on funds. And so this is something that as the fire company grows and as the need to switch to paid personnel staff, we're in support of our first responders, and we want to make sure that there are funds to be able to give that money to you. And if there are additional requests, if you need equipment for safety needs, we want to be able to support our fire company in that as well.
And I just want to say thank you for that other comment. I didn't think about the possible perception that folks won't need to donate quite as much. So, maybe we can work on some communication pieces with the fire company too.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Danelle. Yeah. We need to get that word out so people don't have that misconception.
Yeah.
Minion Vath has her hand raised.
Hello, good evening.
Hi,
Thank you for welcoming me to the meeting. I'm here as your library trustee, which unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances that have been of 2020, I need to pass the baton on that one. But I'm here to just speak about my support of the library. I don't have anything eloquent to say. However, I do have to, I'm here to talk about our experience at the library and why I would really appreciate the board continuing to support the library and allowing our residents to use their resources. So let me first begin by, and I'll keep this within a time limit. And again, I thank you for your time. Let me share with you the long list of resources that we use the library for. And I believe I represent the majority of families, and also through many of these programs, individuals of every age. We enjoy the use of Overdrive, and Overdrive provides us ebooks and audiobooks. We really enjoy that on family trips. Fire up Overdrive from the SLO library. We thank you for that. Our children use Hoopla, which is another electronic program. We use RB Digital. And some of these ebooks and audiobooks, the library has done a fantastic job during this pandemic in providing these services, finding these services, and finding them at an affordable cost to the library, sticking within their budget. So during 2020, so that when we're all stuck at home, we've had these resources to use. Libby is another one, another electronic digital subscription service that we're allowed to use. My children, we have lived here for 7 years. So through their elementary years, their middle school years, and now into high school, we have used the Children's Summer Reading Program, as well as the teen reading programs. We've also participated in the Children's Art Program. We enjoy the art gallery, and actually have purchased something from one of the artists that had something on display at the art gallery. We enjoy good old-fashioned audiobooks. The collection is being reviewed and so forth, but we've still enjoyed those. We also have taken advantage of the interlibrary loans, getting some books that aren't on the stacks, but in the Center County Library collection. We learned about something new, and we took a trek out during this pandemic and took a look at one of the story walks that SLO has done in collaboration with the Center County libraries. It's a walk, and you read the story as you walk through the park. We have enjoyed the bookmobile at Way Fruit Farm. My children love that. It's such a novelty to them. And tonight, when I talked to my husband on our way to our local Way Fruit Farm, I told him I was going to be attending this meeting, and he said, "Oh, if we lose our book drop, I'm just going to be so upset." So I will tell you that is my husband's most important thing, and it's really important to us as residents. And that is part of the money that supports our library and that book drop. Just want to let you know, in this 1 year, as a trustee, I have witnessed and approved the budget, and I have seen how wise and how wisely the money has been spent that we pay as residents through our taxes. I'm really impressed with how the money is distributed and used to get the maximum resources for the residents through programs and books and so forth. And on that note, the trustees are very, very knowledgeable, and they hold the director accountable for how, in this case, Kathy spends those funds, and really in good hands with the trustees. And you can be reassured that our taxes are being spent to the best of, they're making good use of our money. And on a final note, before 2020 pandemic hit, there was some discussion about finding new resources to support our Halfmoon Township, whether it be a book locker or the bookmobile. There was some discussion. We're really important to the library, and I think that we should let the library know that they're important to us. That's about, oh, and one last thing is, even though I pay taxes that support the library, we also donate to the library every year. And to us, that just shows us how important the library is. So thank you very much for your time tonight. And please, please continue to support SCLO Library.
Thank you for your comments, Minion. Okay, do we have other comments about the budget? Anyone else raising their hand?
Not see any other hand raises.
Going once. At this time, if there are no more comments, we are going to vote on the budget, final budget.
Close the hearing first and then vote. Right?
Okay. Anyone else? Last call? Nobody, Denise?
No.
Okay, I will, where's my gavel? I will close the public hearing and we will go ahead and move to vote on the budget, final budget for 2021. So at this point, for the supervisors, Bob and Dave here, I'll make a motion that we approve the final budget for fiscal year 2021.
I'll second the motion.
Oh, sorry, I
Can we
moved.
have discussion?
Yes, discussion. Go ahead.
All right, well, this is Dave. I don't like this budget. I don't think anybody on the Board of Supervisors likes this budget.
No.
I think the board did the best it could with what it had to pay the bills that it owes. And I don't know any other way to put it than that. I will tell you, I can promise the people of Halfmoon Township, I will do my level best to spend the minimum amount of money that's budgeted in each line item that we could possibly spend to try to keep this township on an even keel. And unfortunately, we have no road projects for next year. We have no money for road projects other than whatever we get for state liquid fuels, which is minimal. And the township is going to be working on a very tight budget. I am disappointed that the Center Region Council of Governments and the library weren't able to cut their budgets back, because I know that every single municipality in the Center Region is going to be hurting this year. We just don't have the revenues coming in thanks to COVID-19. It's an unusual year. I don't know if it's going to get any better next year, and we all hope it does. If it does, that'll be great. But I'm going to support the budget because I think it's the right thing to do at this point. That's the end of my comment.
Thank you, Dave.
Dave, I have to agree with you. None of us like this budget. None of us want to raise taxes. It's just it's an unfortunate thing that we have to do. We did a good job as a municipality of not raising taxes for a very long time, and sooner or later it was going to have to happen. And unfortunately, it reared its ugly head in the same year that COVID-19 did. So.
And I will also make comments too. We had some difficult budget meetings for any of you who viewed them. I know that Denise and Amy and Brett worked incredibly hard, numerous times over again on every line item in that budget. And I think the board, we can commit to, again, like Dave said, spending as little as we need to get through next year. And one of the other things that we can commit to, and we had a strategic discussion about being more forward thinking and forward planning. So we're hoping as a board that we can lay some better foundations for future board members as the changes occur in elections, so that we have better policies, processes in place to ensure that funding is coming in on a more regular basis versus having spikes and valleys in the fiscal periods over the years. So we can, I think, commit to that for the residents going forward, that we're hopefully going to do a little bit more forward strategic planning for that regard.
Now, I'd like to add one other thing as well, and I think it's important for the people of the township to know. None of the employees are getting a raise this next year.
Yeah.
And it's a sacrifice. I don't think it's fair, but, you know, unfortunately, I think it's what we had to do. We've curtailed training for employees. We've limited expenses severely for anything that was surplus. And like I said, we're not having a big party. I guess Center Region went and gave raises to everybody that worked over there, but we're not doing it. That's how serious we are about where our financial situation is. And that's all I'll say about it.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you all very much. And we will be, one of the other things that we committed to as a board is to be very transparent in our funding and our expenses and things like that. So if there's some proactive things that we can do from a communication standpoint to let folks know where we are, Denise has already dedicated that probably every quarter we're going to get a budget update, or maybe monthly, I can't remember what we said now, to continually see where we are with the budget so that we can keep an eye on our income and the expenses throughout the year. Okay, thank you all.
Danelle,
Yes.
Is Brett there tonight?
He is. I think he's with Amy. Is that correct? Amy, is Brett there?
Yes, I'm here, Dave.
Hey, Brett, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know we talked about how our earned income tax was coming out this year.
Mhm.
How are we doing?
We just got another payment in, and it leaves us only about 11,000 shy of where we were last year. And that's to be expected because we believe the cuts are going to happen in the beginning of next year. That'll be your.
All right. Well, yeah, I just wanted to poke at you on that one and see what you thought, because I knew you were putting numbers together. Thank you.
Yep.
I won't interrupt anymore, Danelle. Go ahead.
That's okay, Dave. Okay, so on to more new business. We have a number of resolutions that we need to put in place here.
Actually, before we do that, I'm sorry. I wanted to be able to get Eric Norenberg, the COG Executive Director, out of here as soon as possible. So I actually we approved one of the resolutions, which was the budget approval, but I kind of want to go back real quick to 6B, which is the resolution to approve the COG Articles of Agreement for the Center Region Building and Housing Code Appeals Board. This is something that we have in place and have had in place since, I believe, Halfmoon had it in 2004. It's essentially the UCC Appeals Board, Uniform Construction Code. And this board used to be comprised of about 17 different members. And I guess people finally, when everybody started looking at some of these COG committees and these different structures, the new Articles of Agreement actually drops this down to 7 people. So it becomes a more efficient board, and then people can kind of rotate in and out on a more frequent basis rather than having 17 people who are always committed to this board. So in order to make that type of adoption, we need to approve a resolution to modify these Articles of Agreement. And this is happening on all the municipal levels. So this document will also, if approved, be circulated around for everybody's signature.
Great. For us, can you open the resolutions as we do them so that we can have them up on the screen? And
Yes,
Eric, feel free. Eric, did you want to provide any other comment about this resolution?
Well, I think Denise did a good job of an overview of this, and I will mention that the Public Safety Committee did I think a thorough review of the text of the proposal and reviewed with the Center Region Code Administration Director during the summer. And as Denise indicated, this has gone through the general forum and it's been referred to all of the municipalities for approval. And I think this might be the last or second to last municipal approval. So we're very close to wrapping up, but the efficiency, I think, is one of the key ingredients. We'll still have a diverse representation on the appeals board. They will meet regularly in order to be able to promptly hear appeals if any comes up. One of the challenges that they've had in the past was getting a quorum and having delays, trying to get a meeting together. This way, the plan is to have a regular meeting cycle so that appeals can be heard promptly. And if an appeal is not pending, then they can cancel the meeting or discuss other relevant issues to the building code. So I think this is a big improvement, and I hope you'll ask me any questions that you have or go ahead and approve the resolution. Thank you.
I'm all about making things more efficient, so I love it.
Absolutely. I move that we approve resolution 2020. What's the number?
We won't know because we're going to approve a whole bunch of them, but we'll get them in order. I think we're around 22 now.
This would be 22.
I'm not quite sure, but yes, well, 2020.XX until we can assign it.
XX. Okay, I move that we approve resolution 2020-XX, new agreement for the COG. I'm sorry, it goes ... I can't read the rest of that.
Oh, it's for the joint articles of appeals.
Articles of agreement.
Articles of agreement for Center Region Building and Housing Code Appeals Board.
There you go.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. Second it, but I need discussion after that.
Sure, we always will have discussion. Okay, so now's discussion. Go ahead, Dave.
All right, as questions for Eric. Statistically, I think it'd be easier to get a quorum with 17 people than it is to get a quorum with 7.
Is that a statement, a question?
You only need 51% or anything over 50%. So how are these 7 people any different than anybody else? Are they paid staffers or what's the deal?
No, there's still requirements for the to have a diverse representation from various trades and experiences within the field, including expertise in building and mechanical and plumbing systems, electrical systems, things like that. But one of the challenges, in addition to trying to get a quorum, there were routinely vacancies because it was complicated keeping positions filled. Folks would resign or municipalities might have trouble finding people to fill the vacancies because they weren't meeting on a regular basis. Some, in fact, I guess felt that they weren't, it wasn't worth their time to participate because they weren't being called on very regularly to meet. So that's why one of the reasons will be to use this as an engagement opportunity with the building and construction industry to keep in touch, find out what the issues are, make sure that there's a feedback mechanism. And so those meetings can happen monthly as well.
So what you're saying, Eric, is you're going to have a regular monthly meeting of the board, not just called on a special occasion.
Correct. That's the intent. And if there's an appeal that's necessary, that will be the first item of business.
Now, the next question I have for you is who decides who gets the axe of the 17 people that are there?
I think there are a lot of vacancies right now, and I don't know if there are really any appointments that need to be cycled off. I don't know the answer to the question of who is currently a member, but we did want to get this taken care of before the end of the year so that municipalities can assist with the appointments for the new year.
Well, to my fellow supervisors, I'm agreeable for a year to try it. And if it doesn't work, then we need to figure something else out.
Okay.
That's fair.
Sounds good.
Any other discussion? I was just asking Denise to pull up where it has information about the members of the board in case anybody had any questions about that. Any other, excuse me, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, great. Thank you very much. Eric, thanks for participating this evening and hanging in there with us.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
Eric.
Thank you.
All right. So that resolution is taken care of, and now we have a number of end of year resolutions to go through.
Yes, so please
Yep.
be patient as I go through
Yes.
the screen shares.
And before Dave or Bob ask, yes, we have to do them individually.
Yeah, I know we do.
We always ask, but yes.
So we did the
That's
budget
fine.
approval first. We went back and did the articles of agreement. The real estate taxes will be next. Let me pull that up. Give me just one moment, please.
As you're pulling that up, also, I was just noticing that I know that Kathy, you are still here in attendance and you are more than welcome to stay.
Oh,
for-
wow.
What?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I thought Kathy had left already.
Again, more than welcome to stay. We did ask you to come if there were any specific questions about library. I'm sure we'll have you and or the new director coming next year as well. But you're more than welcome to stay for one of the future agenda item about appointing a new library trustee. But you're also welcome to leave.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So the next resolution will be the establishment of the real estate taxes for the 2021 year.
So typically when we have a lot of these resolutions, if you want, Dave, Bob, we can all rotate and do the motion. So I'll start. If you want, I'll start
Dave's
one.
on the phone,
I
though.
don't-
think
I
he's
don't
gonna be
care.
able to read them.
Oh yeah, Dave, you can just do the second if you want, so you don't have to read them.
That's fine, because I can't read them because my phone doesn't show them.
Yeah. I will go ahead and make a motion to approve resolution for fiscal year 2021 real estate taxes. And Dave, you're going to second like all of them.
All right, well, I'll second it, but I need to know what the tax rates are established at.
So the total tax rate is 8.37 mils, as was just passed in the budget. 4.67 is general fund, 2 is the open space, and 1.7 is the fire protection.
Thank you.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Bob, you're up.
Yep.
All right, our next one is, sorry, I'm trying to get them that we did.
I know
that.
you probably have so many things opened for tonight.
Can you see that one? This is the establishing the fire protection fund, giving us the authority to go ahead and actually create the fund and then transfer $16,830.80 into that fund as we establish it. That's because as a new tax, we won't have the first quarter distribution ready in time. So this is our way to open the fund and have that ready to send out. It'll be about a week lag between when it will come in versus when our first payment would be due.
Okay.
So I move that a resolution of the Board of Supervisors of the Halfmoon Township, Center County, Pennsylvania, establishing a fire protection fund and approving transfer of monies from the general fund into the fire protection fund in fiscal year 2020.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Next up is a resolution for the Center Region Council of Governments distributions.
Yes, so this is the approval of the distributions to the COG for the expenses. And these are the quarterly distribution costs for 2021.
And Dave, just for your knowledge, the resolution has 4 different payments due once per quarter, 4 payments of $37,277.25 for a total amount of $149,109.
A lot of money.
Okay, so I will make the motion to approve the resolution for fiscal year 2021 Center Region Council of Governments distributions.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dave. Any discussion?
Well, you know, it's going to fall on deaf ears, but I really wish that they had cut back a little bit for next year and suffered a little bit like the rest of us.
Okay.
But that's all we got to do, I guess, is pass it.
Okay.
Dave, it doesn't fall on deaf ears. I hear you. I
wasn't talking about you.
But, yeah, I know, but I'm just. It's a nice way to say I agree with you. That didn't sit well with me as well, but you're right. I mean, it is what it is. We're contractually bound, so.
Yep. Well, we can have a meeting in February or something maybe
in the future about what to do in the future, but for now, this is what we have.
Okay. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And next up, we have the Center County Library contribution. And as Denise pulls that one up, I will go ahead for Dave, just so you read, the Center County Library shall receive the sum of $3,500.
Yeah, pretty small pittance for sending out the bookmobile.
Why is there such a large disparity between the Center County Library and what we give to SHLO? I mean,
I don't know. I don't understand that.
So
you know, I've always been a big county library advocate. I'll second that motion, by the way. But
yeah,
I've always been a big county advocate at the library, and I think the county has treated us great through its entire history. And I unfortunately feel like we turn our back on them and send a lot of money into State College. And not that SHLO doesn't have a lot of programs, but the county's a countywide system. They send out the bookmobile. Come hell or high water, they've always been there for us.
Yeah.
So
outside of the center region, the county's not exactly awash with wealth.
No.
Yeah.
Kathy Alloway is willing to reply to that.
That would be great. Thanks, Kathy.
Sure. Thank you. I would be happy to come back and give you specifics, but the reason you pay more to SCLO is that you are officially in our service area, much like there are school districts in the state has a role in forming school districts. The State Department of Education has put Halfmoon Township into SCLO's territory. Our expenses are much larger because we have a 2-story, 35,000 square foot building, and we have like 4 times the number of items and programs that the county library does. I'm not certain over the decades what the history of that is, but you are paying technically only for their bookmobile service. When you give money to SCLO, then that enables us to work with them and send you books from all over the county. So that's a very short, rough overview of what you're getting for those services, but we do work very closely with the county. You get a lot of their books. And I would also like to point out, when you said earlier about we haven't at COG cut our budgets or made any sacrifices, we made a lot of sacrifices this year.
I'm
Every
sorry.
employee went unpaid for a 2-week furlough. We've cut positions, and we were lucky enough to get a $300,000 payroll protection plan loan at great effort that is really keeping us from asking for a bigger increase at a time when people are using us more than before. So I'd be glad
Kathy,
to
I'm
come
sorry.
back sometime and give you more details about this. But we work together very closely with the county library to provide all the service that your residents need.
Thank you, Kathy. Bob?
I'm sorry, Kathy. I think you misunderstood what Dave and I were referencing. We weren't at all saying that the COG hasn't cut its budgets. It was about the employee pay raises that are being issued, whether they be merit raises or what have you. We at the municipal, at the individual municipal levels in the center region, I believe all
I'm not sure.
elected not to give their employees pay raises this year because of the COVID crisis. And from what we understand, the COG is going forward with their compensation increases. That's what we were referring to. I'm sorry, there was confusion.
Sure, and actually I would leave it to Eric because it was my understanding at COG that some of the municipalities were providing COLA raises, Eric?
Yes, that's correct. There, of the other municipalities, I think one is not doing a merit increase, but all the other 5 are doing COLA adjustments of some level or another. And if you'd like, I can try and pull up the chart from the finance committee, or was presented, I think, at the general forum as well, that shows the numbers, but they may be out of date because that was partway through the budget review process. But yes, all of the other municipalities do have a COLA at some level, and I think only College Township was planning not to do a merit increase.
Okay, I'm sorry. I guess I was misinformed. I was under the impression that all the municipalities weren't doing any increases at all. So my apologies.
That's okay, but thank you,
Well,
Kathy.
apparently the problem that we're having in the center region with people losing their jobs and businesses closing, I guess it doesn't affect anybody else except Halfmoon.
So if I may,
Yeah, look, that's a different topic that we're already done discussing. So we're going to get back to this resolution discussion, which is about the Center County Library contribution of $3,500. So Dave, I think you had already seconded the motion.
I second that.
Okay,
Yep.
Is there any further discussion about this resolution?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you. We can move along to the next resolution, which is the Port Matilda Fire Company distributions. And what we have on this resolution are 4 payments, once per quarter of $11,781. Oh, I was looking for a total. Oh, there's a total of $47,126.24 to Port Matilda Fire Company. So, Bob, do you want to make this motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion, but Denise, you have to move that down for me.
You don't have to read that whole thing. That's just a description of the resolution.
Okay, well, so moved.
Is there
All
a
right,
Did I hear you, Dave?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll second.
Is there any discussion about the distributions to the Port Matilda Fire Company resolution? All those in favor?
The only thing I want to add to that is, not to talk over you, Bob. The only thing I want to add to that is that the fire company's getting over $10,000 less than the library gets, to put it in perspective.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. On to the next resolution, which is for fiscal year, I'll make the motion, move that we approve resolution for fiscal year 2021 Warriors Mark Franklin Fire Company distributions. And this is for a total of $20,196.96 in 4 payments of $5,049.24.
I'll second that.
Okay, Dave
yeah.
seconded that. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay. The next up is a resolution for fiscal year 2021 for Port Matilda Emergency Medical Services distributions. And this one totals $12,525 in 4 payments of $3,131.25. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. Motion carries. And then, final one
We
is.
didn't vote on that.
Oh,
We didn't vote on it.
oops.
Yeah, we got to vote on these things.
Just moving right along. Sorry about that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Now we can move along. Now it passes. And I'll just do this last motion too. I move that we approve the resolution for fiscal year 2021 for CNET distributions. And that totals $15,889 in 4 payments of $3,972.25. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to note that that's more money than the ambulance company's getting.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. We got all of our resolutions taken care of for the end of the year.
Yay.
Yay. Good. All right. Now we have a lovely, well, not lovely, sorry. It's going to be lovely, but the sad resignation of Minion Vath first as the SCLO Library trustee, and then the appointment of Sharon Rovansek.
I think it's Rovansek.
Rovansek. Thank you. As the SCLO Library trustee. So I will we already did hear from Minion. Is she still here?
Yes, I am.
Oh, lovely. Okay. So we did already hear your story about stepping down. We want to thank you very much for what you have done as the representative from Halfmoon Township for the SCLO Library trustee. And don't know if you want to say anything else before we talk about Sharon.
Yes, thank you very much. I do apologize that it was such a short term, but like I had indicated, it was an unforeseen circumstance due to the pandemic. My priority is to represent Halfmoon Township residents, but my very first priority is to support my family. And as many of you know, our children have suffered a great deal through this pandemic, and I really need to focus on that time. But thank you so much to everyone for supporting me, supporting the library, and good luck to the next trustee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minion.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Okay, and we have Sharon has expressed interest in the position, and I think Denise had sent around, or actually Sharon sent her resume and letter of interest and intent that I read today, and it was fantastic. Your credentials are fantastic, Sharon. So hopefully Bob and Dave, you got a chance to take a look at the experience that Sharon brings, and the, was it Louisiana and Alaska you've been to?
I grew up in California and then went to Alaska when I was 18 to college. And then I went to Louisiana with my husband because he couldn't progress in school there. He had to leave the state for his degree.
Fantastic. So I'm very excited about having you represent Halfmoon Township for the SCLO Library trustee. And I guess at this point, I will just go ahead and make a motion to appoint Sharon Rovansek?
Rovansek, yes.
Rovansek as our SCLO Library trustee.
I'll second that motion.
I'll second it.
Oh, we got 2
Or
seconds.
Bob can have a second.
You
It
do
doesn't
it.
matter.
Is there any discussion?
I would just like to say welcome aboard.
Thank you. Can I say something super quick or no?
Absolutely. Well, here, let's do the vote first, and then you can say something if you want.
Sure.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Go ahead, Sharon.
So I'm really excited about it. You know, moved around a lot, and we've been living in Half Moon. Gosh, my oldest son is 23, and we moved here when he was 8, and we had lived in 5 different states, and we said they've got to have something better than 5 different states by the time you're 8 years old. So, but you know, I'm so happy to be able to represent Half Moon on the library board. I'm passionate about libraries, all kinds, whether it's a public library, whether it's a law library, whether it's a prison library, a church library. You know, they are sources for us. And, you know, in our country, mandatory education only goes until you're 18 years old. And after that, if you want to advance beyond a high school degree, if you cannot afford college, or you just have a hobby interest, adult education needs to happen somewhere. And public libraries are such I feel like such a rich resource. And working in the prison in Louisiana, and my husband's the executive director of the soup kitchen in town, I know what disenfranchised is. And I know what it is not to be able to afford to buy a book or to buy a newspaper. And people have to be able to have that resource. Plus, you know, wandering the stacks, and when you're 4 or 5, my kids, you know, they're 23, 22, and 21 now, 3 boys. And, you know, they took full advantage of the library programs when they were young. And I cannot envision a world without a library for everybody that wants to access material. And that's, you know, what I have to say about that. But that said, I'm listening to the budget. I'm sick to my stomach over the COVID and what, you know, finances for everybody. So I think I can bring a really good balance when I represent Half Moon, you know, with the passion I have for libraries in general. And that's what I have to say. But thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay, next up is the approval of up to 35 hours of unused vacation time, switching it to personal time for the staff in 2021. And Denise, do you want to give a quick little update on what that is about?
Yes. So in COVID pandemic world, and coming in as a new manager, I have to say that working with the staff this year, not even this year, these last 9 months, has been absolutely phenomenal. Everybody is a team player, and everybody's doing what they need to do to get through this together. And in doing so, a lot of the staff has kind of given up their time to help make sure that we took care of everything we needed to get through this pandemic. And they avoided vacations so that we can make sure everybody was taken care of and we were still providing all the services. We're also, as Dave had mentioned, not providing any raises or cost of living adjustment in 2021. So what I'm proposing is that we provide, if you have unused vacation time, you're allowed to carry in our personnel manual 35 hours of that time over into the next year. My proposal is that if you have additional hours, so if you have up to 70 hours, you can take your 35 and carry that over into vacation. And if you have an additional 35, that get transferred into personal time for 2021. And that's because personal time is use it or lose it, where vacation time, again, you can carry over. So the use it or lose it gives them an opportunity as staff to take that anytime, assuming 2021 is better.
We hope so.
Yes.
Now, this is just for 1 year. This isn't a permanent go forward. Correct?
Right. This is just as a kind of thank you for the fact that everybody stuck together to work through the pandemic. And it's also as a thank you for the staff was aware that other municipalities and that the COG would be receiving raises, and everybody is just very grateful to have a job and to work together. We worked really, really hard at cutting expenses this year. We knew that income wasn't going to come in the same way. So we've been looking at every penny, and this is a kind of a nice way to just reward them, hoping that next year they have the opportunity to take some time off.
Yeah.
not only have the opportunity, just take time off.
Yeah.
Get your mental break in, go, just sit outside in the summertime, whatever it is, because I know that it was a stressful year for everyone. So hopefully this allows for a little bit more freedom to just take a day if you need it, or a couple, for sure. So
I move that the Halfmoon Township Board of Supervisors approves up to 35 hours of unused vacation time from 2020 be transferred to personal time for the year 2021.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dave. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, excellent. Okay, next up we have our department reports. Anything of note for us? Any questions that anyone has?
We have everybody on the call. So if Brett has anything that he wants to say about either the treasurer's report or the tax collector's report, he's welcome to. There's nothing that's out of the ordinary. We're ending the year with a fund balance that is pretty good considering all things that have occurred this year. We're able to pay our bills, and it looks like we're going to end up with a very, very, very close to net zero for the year. So that's great.
Wow. Yeah.
For building and zoning, we've seen a slow. I think there's only one item on that report right now. We did have this year an influx, surprisingly, building and codes and everything. That kind of didn't slow down the way we would have thought in a pandemic, even though there was some of the construction issues. For public works report, the guys have been absolutely phenomenal. We had our first snow ice event, I would call it. It was minor, but it was in preparation. They prepared for it over the Thanksgiving weekend, and had that pretty good and ready to go. They had already put down anti-skid in preparation for it, and the ice rink is now up. It is not frozen quite yet, but we're getting there. So the ice rink will be available for all to enjoy. For the manager's report, I don't have a written report for you. I can give you some updates. If I know all the supervisors are aware, but if the public's not aware, we closed our building to the public, and at the same time actually had to close the township due to a COVID-related event and an issue. So we are, as a staff, available to work remotely. You can contact us and leave a message on our main line, and somebody will get back to you. We also have the drop box outside of the building that if you need to drop off your taxes or anything else, we're kind of using that as a communication point. And as of right now, until some tests come back, we have to be out in the 10-day quarantine, which will last until the 18th unless some tests come back before then that are negative. With that, I actually wanted to ask the board. We as a municipality have not been affected the same way a lot of the other municipalities have, or even the COG. We haven't had to approve COVID leave. And that's what I'd actually like to ask the board to do now. So COVID leave is just another designation. So our road crew can't work from home. They can't trim trees from home. They can't really do those kind of items that is needed. So what I'm asking the board for is 80 hours of COVID leave that we will transfer into next year as well, that we'll be using for this time, so that everybody has 80 hours that we could use. And we can look at if we get through this, when we get through this winter and everybody's healthy and safe, we can look at if we need to renew that in some fashion or way. But I'm asking the board that we approve 80 hours of COVID leave per employee, full-time employee.
Denise, what is COVID leave versus sick time?
It's David, it's just a designation. It doesn't require the employees to use their sick time or vacation time, because it's not something that all the employees had planned, we'll say. So it's almost like regular time that you're getting paid. It's just a designation of COVID leave.
Is it more so from an administrative
Yes,
standpoint?
yes. But it's basically so that the employees do not need to use their vacation or sick time because of a shutdown due to
COVID related activity. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I move that the board approves 80 hours of COVID leave per employee for 2021. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Can we make that 2020 and 2020?
Oh, yes, yes.
I'm kind of rolling it into the next year.
Yes, 2020 and 2021. Bob, do you still second?
Yes.
Any discussion?
Discussion is, if we're going to allow COVID leave, then I want a letter from a doctor if that's above and beyond. Not that I don't believe anybody, but I just want to make sure that we're, like I said, money's tight, and I don't want to be giving any gifts away right now. If you have to take COVID leave, you probably ought to be sick. Is that the purpose, or am I misunderstanding?
We can't require employees who may have been exposed to provide a doctor's letter. And I'm not sure, I'd have to check with Jeff, with our solicitor, to determine if the employee who has the COVID related issue needs to require a doctor's excuse. I think this is protection of the other employees to ensure they're not taking anything back to their families or home.
What, the other employees don't have to come into work? Is that what you're saying, or am I not understanding? I mean, we got two levels of employees here, and not that one is better than the other, but we have, office employees, which there are 3 people in the office generally. And if one gets sick working in close proximity, I understand why the other 2 might want to go hide someplace. We also have three people on the crew who can all get in separate trucks. I mean, if it snows, it snows. Somebody needs to get out there and do it. I don't want everybody sitting at home if we have a snowstorm going, wow, I'm on COVID-19 break. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
We understand what you're talking about, David. I think you're going to sort of an extreme negative with only the minimal amount of employees that we have. I don't feel that they would be taking advantage of this. And it's the difference between being able to work remotely and not.
Yes, and actually, as far as the snow emergency goes, I have a call tomorrow with 2 neighboring municipalities, so that we have a contingency plan in place, not only in a COVID related year, but because we are such a small municipality that if one of our road crew members were to go on a vacation or get sick and the other one gets sick, because we actually only have 2 full-time. So if one were on vacation, the other one were sick, and we had a snow emergency, we have no contingency plan in place. So this is also something that I'm working on with the neighboring municipalities for some intermunicipal relief from any snow event that could happen or any unforeseen event.
I would hope, Denise, that you're going to have that go both ways.
Oh,
sure.
Yes. We would be required, of course, to pay for any of these services, but at the same point, if they had something going on in their municipality, of course, we would be more than happy to provide any help that we can.
All right. I wasn't going to vote against it, but I just was trying to figure out what all this meant for us and what it didn't mean.
No, I totally understand. And I'm sure there's, Denise, I'm sure you're talking with other managers, and there's HR admin policies that go along with it. Yep. All right. Any other discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Great. Thank you. And then the budget report, I think was, I'm sorry. Were you done with the manager's report?
No, just a couple of other little pieces to it. I don't know if everybody's aware, but we received a letter that there will be an increase in recycling costs for the upcoming year. this was also discussed at the Public Safety and Environmental Committee. So that's something that I think people are going to start see coming their way. It's not a huge cost. It has a lot to do with the fact that the transfer station increased their costs and fuel tax costs. But it will be a small increase that people should expect.
Are you, I'm sorry, Denise, the increase would show up on your trash bill?
I don't, I'm not sure.
How do we pay for our county recycling? I thought that we forwarded our contribution to them, to whoever was our personal trash hauler, and then they forwarded that on to the recycling. I may be mistaken, but I do know to get a new recycling bin, you contact your trash hauler and they give it to you, and then they bill you and they forward the $10 on to Center County Recycling. So I'm wondering where we're going to actually see this increase.
Denise, if I may.
Yes.
Yes, you will see that in your trash hauler bill. I know for mine, it's $1 per month.
Yeah, I think mine same. That's why I wanted to put the 2 and 2 together. I was wondering if that's what the increase from my trash hauler was. And if that's the case, then
Denise, you said that's because of fuel?
I've seen the same.
It's because of the increasing cost of, there was a whole big presentation, Shelley Mato did at the committee, but it has a lot to do with the fact that the recycling ban that was implemented from the federal government, that changed some of the rules, and then the increase in recycling costs have just gone up, and then of course fuel cost for road tax has gone. I think there was a small increase in that. It was all just little pennies that added up. So there were a bunch of different reasons.
And if I'm not mistaken, because I think they presented this 2 Public Services and Environmental Committee meetings ago that I attended. It's also, I want to say, sort of a regular annual increase. There's a small annual increase typically every year. So this isn't a more than usual kind of increase. It's kind of a typical increase that happens.
Yeah, I don't care about the dollar. I just was wondering where it was going.
Yeah. Tipping fees, is that what they call some of that?
Yeah, that's exactly what, thank you. I was trying to look through my notes to try to remember what that was called. Yes. Additionally, I know I'm kind of falling into some of your reports. I know that there have been some committee structure updates through the COG, and I believe it's the Public Safety and Environmental, the Transportation and Land Use, and
Public Safety, Public Services and Environmental, and TLU.
So those 3 committees are being looked at to kind of have a revised committee structure, looking at combining them and then prioritizing what each committee will be looking at. That's something that's coming along in January as well. And also there's Pam Adams presented that there's some recommended draft comments on behalf of the COG supporting new energy code for residential and commercial buildings to the Department of Labor and Industry. The Pennsylvania Construction Codes Act is making some changes, so any new construction has to be more energy efficient. And I think that's all a good change that everybody's looking forward to.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. And then we have the budget reports. Any questions or anything of note for those?
No, those are those reports that you've asked to see. So those are reports that we provide every meeting, every month. And actually, it's anytime we cut checks, we do it's basically profit and loss and a balance statement.
Perfect. Okay. Any questions about any of the department reports before we move along to supervisor reports?
Nope.
All righty. Supervisor reports, executive committee. The last meeting that we had was before Thanksgiving in November, and we basically went over the items that were for the COG General Forum agenda that we held was that November 23rd now? It seems like a year ago, where we approved the COG budget. So that's pretty much all we did in the executive committee. And we have another meeting coming up on Tuesday. I attended the finance meeting this morning for Patty since she's out of town, and it was primarily a wrap up the year. And one of the things that they presented, the finance committee through the budgeting process had a list of priority items to potentially send forth to that were related to different committees and boards. So one of the things that they wanted to do is just kind of wrap that up, where they came up with a prioritization structure and criteria for prioritizing. So there is a nice list of prioritized items that's going to go to the next executive committee meeting to figure out of those top priorities, which is the appropriate committee or board to start looking at some of those items. So that was the finance committee update. Was there any human resources meeting?
Human resources and public safety both did not meet this month.
Okay. Transportation and land use, Dave, you are listed there. Have you attended any?
No, I'm not going anywhere.
Okay. We'll look at the committee structures in our reorg meeting next year. Public services and environmental, I was away and was not able to attend that meeting. And I apologize, I did not even go look at the minutes for that. So I think Denise, you basically gave a little bit of that already.
Yeah. I believe, I don't remember which committee it is, but there's also, it was the SPPA, the Solar Purchasing Power Working Group. They also met, and they're in the process of going through the RFP and what type of structure they're looking for the energy consultant.
Excellent. And Patty's not here. I don't know if the Ad Hoc Facilities Committee met, but I will say, I think it was in the Finance Committee meeting this morning. All these meetings are blending together for me. I think Eric might have given an update, Eric Nornberg, that they are interviewing for a facilities manager because there is so much money and management of the facilities around that are managed by COG, that they are going to hire a position that had already been budgeted from last year for that. So they're moving forward with that, which is great.
They're just now getting around to hiring that position, huh? That position was created like a year ago, wasn't it?
I don't think that they were I think that just this past summer they were planning for the not publicizing it. What am I trying to say?
Advertising it.
Advertising. Thank you.
Okay, I was under the impression that they were starting at the beginning of the year.
No, due to COVID, it got postponed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of the other things is as Jim retired, Jim Steff.
Yeah.
He also waited for Eric to get on board as well. All right. CCMPO, Barbara Spencer is still our representative, and she sends us emails. So she sends us those updates. We do not have anyone in the CCMPO technical. Spring Creek Watershed. Dave, you don't go to those either?
No.
Okay, I think we also get email updates from Spring Creek Watershed.
Yeah.
So if anyone has any of those. I don't think there was any Center Area Cable Consortium meeting the last time I talked to Patty. Is there a CNET meeting, Bob?
Yes, we had actually a CNET executive committee meeting that consisted mostly of having the pleasure of commending Cindy and the rest of the staff on a job well done this year at CNET, especially with all the adversity that we've had. They've had particular challenges trying to get these meetings to go off properly via Zoom and hybrid meetings and all that. So I just really wanted to recognize everyone at CNET for a really good job last year.
Excellent.
Oh, and we approved the budget to send it to the the full board. So
fantastic. Yeah, they're helping keep on, right? Keep on,
without CNET, I don't know how we would have done this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, it would have been impossible.
All right. And was there an upper Bald Eagle COG meeting, Bob?
Yes. The pertinent information out of that is the fact that they held their elections and we have a new fire chief. John Witherwright III. We also have a new president, Michael Moyer, or actually he's returning as president, excuse me,
yeah.
and a new vice president, John Witherwright, or excuse me, Josh Witherwright.
Very nice. Okay. And then Patty, I don't know, I'm assuming there was probably no open space board
No, we
meeting?
canceled the open space. We're actually going to be looking at, we have some charts and some information. We're looking at trying to put together an actual tangible goal as to the committee, as far as what we found out is about over 40% of Halfmoon Township is preserved in some fashion, whether that's through state game lands, through our open space preservation initiative, or if it's deeded somehow. And what we're going to look at is, what does that open space committee want to do as a goal overall? So it's a law of diminishing returns, right? You can only get to 100%. And at 100%, that's not even a realistic goal. So we're trying to put together some actual numbers about what is the goal for how much open space the township would like to have. And I will say that 40% from other municipal standpoints is amazing. We have done a fantastic job of open space preservation here.
And that's just designated open space, preserved open space, correct? That doesn't include farmland that is not in the program or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, so that is a very high number to have, amount of real estate to have preserved within a municipality. If I could speak, within a municipality.
Yes, we'll be looking at that. And like I said, that's an unheard of number. It's fantastic. So really great job.
Excellent. Okay, so that is the end of our meeting. I would like to say it is December 10th. So this is our last meeting of the year. I want to thank everybody, residents, staff, board, everyone for getting through this year. It has definitely been challenging, and challenges are still to come. So it doesn't look like it's getting any better. So, we're really looking for everybody to just keep pulling together, do what we can, still live life to the best that we can in this time. So hopefully we'll have some more community engagement next year in whatever way that means, even if it's virtual, and also providing the services and the safety for the township so we can still keep that balance of living and being in a healthy area.
Yeah, I'd like to add, for those who might be viewing, that, and I know I've said this before at the end of our meetings during COVID, but we need to remember to take care of each other. Your neighbors, we can't be together, but we can be looking out for each other through, text message chains of your local neighbors right in your immediate area. And so if one person is going into town for needed groceries, reach out to your 2 or 3 or 4 homes around you and see if you can make it one trip, one person for 4 households. That will lower the number of people in those common spaces and prevent the spread. So, just remember to look out for your neighbors is what all I'm asking. And happy holidays.
Yes. And Denise reminded me, we do actually have a scheduled meeting on December 17th that we need to vote to cancel. So I move
cancel our next meeting.
Yes, so I move that we cancel the December 17th Board of Supervisor meeting.
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else for good and welfare? Any other comments anyone wants to make? We still have some folks that are online. All good. All right, this is the last time we will officially see each other for the year. So please have happy holidays in whatever way you are celebrating. And we will see you in 2021. Peace out, 2020.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.